have a painting behind me that I started yesterday. I've painted it for 3 hours so far. Usually I put quite a lot more time into the paintings, so this is a first pass. There are a lot of issues that I want to work through in it, and I thought I would share that with you today, just my thought process and how I figure out what to do in the middle stages of an animal painting to actually make it much better and improve it toward the end of the painting. The very first thing that I do when I've kind of got a painting in an awkward place, which honestly a lot of times that happens in a painting, there are always moments that you're painting where you take a look at it and you're like, oh, it's just not looking the best, it's not looking exactly like I want it to. So the first thing I do is take a step back from it and try to figure out what's wrong with it and how I could improve it. As I see it, there are 2 primary things, maybe 3, that are kind of going on with this piece that I want to make better before I take it to the next steps of refinement. Because right now, what I always do when I start out is I kind of get a good layer of color on just so that I can see the color balance. And that's the biggest problem that I have with this piece, is the way all the elements are integrating and the color balance of them. It has a rudimentary feel the way it is right now, like something that maybe I would have made a few years ago before I was a more experienced artist. It has some common mistakes that beginner artists make. I don't have the edges blurred out in different places, so it doesn't look integrated with the background enough. It looks more like maybe if you just like copied and pasted these things on here. Also, the dark areas in the tree don't quite match the dark areas in the snow leopard. Also, you can see that a lot of the details aren't refined enough. So in future steps of the painting, I will be making all the different spots look like actual spots instead of just black blurs. And I'll be adding more detail. But I know how to add the detail later, and that's not what I'm really working out right now. At this point, at these beginning stages, I'm really working on how the painting flows together from a color balance and compositional standpoint. And the biggest problem with the composition, and I said this in my previous video that I did about this, link in the description if you're interested in watching it, but the biggest problem is this tree right here. It goes all the way through the picture plane and it cuts everything in half. And so I need to figure out how to make this more integrated with everything else so it all flows better. And then I want to change the colors because I don't know, I personally don't like the colors. I want it to look more advanced, and I want, when you look at it, it's hard to describe how I do my colors, but when you look at it, I want you to instantly just feel this state of relaxing and love and connectedness. And right now, I don't feel that to this piece. Now, to save a lot of time, my secret here is using my iPad for this next step. And I used to actually do it the long way. I used to just add different layers of paint and different levels of, making the edges blurred out and stuff on the painting, and I would try lots of stuff out. I may spend 10 or 20 hours on a painting just trying things out, and that would it was such a waste of time. But for the first 5 years I painted, that's what I did. And I realized over time, the painting would evolve, and I'd find some things that were good and some things that weren't. So I'd end up just wasting tons of paint, just painting over different areas, and sometimes surprises would happen, little lucky accidents. And so it would be awesome and it would work out. But I just really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so now what I do is I actually take a photo of it with my iPad, and then I take it into the program called Procreate. You can get it on the App Store. It's just, I think, around 10 bucks, so it's not very expensive at all. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do that. I take a photo of the painting, try to get it as squared up as I can. And then what I do is I crop the painting out, and that's the file that I'm going to import into Procreate. You won't be able to see where my fingers actually push on the screen because this is just a screen recording, but you can see all of the different decisions that I'm making. I decided to put purple in the background and because it just made it look so much better. The purple would go from the tree, it kind of matched. So I experimented with different levels of blurring, different edges. I also tried different muted colors in the background. I ended up really liking a more muted yellow, kind of more like a beige. And so I changed the yellow from the cat to be actually the beige color, and I put some of that color in the background as well. And I got rid of the green, added some orange, And I just kind of really looked at all of the different levels of blurring on the edges as well. As you can see, all the changes that I made in Procreate really made my painting look better. So now I have to translate all of those changes back into my painting and do them in actual paint, not digital paint this time, for the next round of painting. So I will show you a video of my painting once I complete that, because I haven't done that part yet. But I did just want to share this kind of part of looking at a painting with a critical eye, and then how I decide to make those changes. Because I think as artists, we all struggle with our work, no matter how many years we've painted for, how many successful paintings we've done. Sometimes we'll have a painting that just isn't going the way we want it to. So yeah, so hopefully these tips help you. And in closing, like, if you are struggling with your art, I mean, not every painting is a good one. So it's okay to have a few bad paintings and have a few good paintings, and just, I would say, just complete them and move on to the next one if it doesn't turn out as good as you wanted it to. But also, using Procreate to experiment with things will save you money and a little time. So yeah, well, thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear any of your questions or your thoughts on painting, and I'm happy to give answers if you post in the comments. All right, see you later.